Hello friends, Brandy here with Falcon Healing Arts. I hope you're doing well. I have for you today our August energy update. I do these monthly, and in today's message we're going to be talking about the frustration around communication today, how we can be doing a better job of that on a collective level. Then we're going to get into more of a personal reading as best as I can for the community. And the theme today is about bringing our shadow into light and integrating it. So we'll go into details about that too. So the way I work, if you have not seen one of my energy readings before, I am a shamanic practitioner. That is how I get most of my information, is communicating with beneficial helping spirits. So I do a divination session with my guides. I do a journey to the upper world where most of my teachers are, and then I also do a tarot spread. So I have that here for you, and this is the personal story that I'll be sharing in a moment. The personal work for you is mainly with the tarot spread, and then at the end we're all going to pull a goddess card together, and this is the main message that is really going to pull everything together and give us guidance as to what to focus on. So let's start off with the first thing I heard was actually hear us. And not just hear us with your ears, but learn the message underneath the words, that there's meaning deeper underneath words. And this is the main frustration that is coming up, is there is a mismatch. There's a mismatch in our relationships with the communication in the collective, with politicians, in the community. And it's becoming easier and easier for us to see this mismatch, that what people are saying and what they're doing is not the vibe that they are sending. And we can feel that there is something underneath that is the main intention, and it's not matching up. So that frustration is felt on every level. Again, personally and on a collective level. And as I was tuning into this message, I was also getting a lump in my throat. And it's not just that we are having a hard time expressing things, it's that we're just not sure. So we're not used to trusting ourselves, and that intuitive nudge that we're getting that something is not right, it's still hard for a lot of people to speak up, because it's easier to just listen to someone else's message, and if they're wrong, then to get mad at them, than to trust our intuition in the first place, follow that, and actually that is typically true. So the more and more we practice listening to our gut feelings, our intuition, and then speaking that, or at least questioning, we're going to see that our intuition is validated over and over again. So this is so important for us to practice. We can be practicing this with our loved ones. Even just trying to communicate with less words is going to give us that practice of sending messages through our body language, through our intention, that message that is beyond words and even actions. So again, practice this with a loved one. I've been doing it with my son a little bit. Instead of answering him, I'll just give him a knowing look, and we'll be like vibing. He doesn't know what I'm doing, but he seems to be satisfied with the look I give him as an answer. And this is going to be so good for you to practice, because you're going to be more clear with your communication. People are going to see that your intention is matching up with your words. So of course you need to be honest with your words and your actions too. So this is going to help you communicate in a more clear way. And then also we're going to show people how we want them to communicate with us. How honesty is so important here. And can you give me a like with this video if you just wish that everyone would be honest? How much easier would life be if everyone was true to their intentions and was very clear with their intentions? So honesty is so important, and the more that we can do this, send greater communication through our intentions, speaking truthfully, and asking people to do the same, life is going to be so much easier. That is going to solve a lot of our problems. It is going to take us time to get there, but if you're hearing this message, if you're resonating with it, then you are going to be one of the people who are modeling this for others. So the more we do this, the less misunderstandings there are going to be. And we're also going to see that there's less dishonesty in our systems. So when you are able to tune into these intentions more, it is a built-in bullshit meter. You can tell when people are lying. So helpful, so helpful. So no one can lie to me. At least when I call people out, they never argue with me that they're lying. They say, oh, well, yeah, I meant to say this or whatever. So, and I'm not like, you're a liar, but it's like, there seems to be something beyond what you're telling me. Like, you can start saying that to people when you're feeling like they're not telling you the whole truth. And this is what that lump in the throat is. It's speaking up when you're seeing that there is that mismatch and getting greater clarification on that. So, oh my God, I wish that we could all do that so much better. So let us practice and model with each other. And then people are going to know they can't lie to us. They can't lie to us anymore. They may as well tell the truth. And we're going to see this on multiple levels in the collective. Okay, so I feel like that is clear. Next, so that was the main message that came through with the divination. I did do a journey to see my guides, and they were like, yes, you're on the right track with that, but we need you to see something. And brought me to the edge of this cliff, and I was looking down at this big fire, and it seemed like it was more of an explosion. They also know that I'm really reluctant to predict the future. I don't want to scare you. I don't want to put out this big message, and it's not so much that I am afraid to be wrong. There is a little of that, definitely. But I don't want to scare people unnecessarily. Because, of course, if I were completely certain, it would be really good for everyone to know this. And they were saying, that's fine. Like, there's multiple meanings on what you're seeing anyway. So just sitting with it more, this big fire, of course, I was thinking of war immediately, just because tensions are rising with China and everything, and we don't know what's going to happen with that. Intuitively, I feel that we're not going to be seeing anything here on our land. So when I was sitting with this more about what this fire means, I started thinking about, oh, it's August. I'm in California. Where's the fires? I'm not seeing the fires. We are approaching fire season. And the message I was getting is that we're going to start to see a drift of that phenomenon. How we were seeing a lot of fires here on the coast, that it'll probably be less. So we're talking about physical manifestation of fires here. Maybe that is what it's about. That is what I was feeling in my gut, is that it's more about these physical fires that we're seeing in the environment. But there's layers beyond that. So beyond that, because there's a lot of emotion about letting fires run naturally. This is a natural cycle in nature. There is always a death before there is a rebirth. So there's a reluctance for people to allow that to happen. Then there's also the tension around what this may mean on an environmental level. So I care deeply about the environment. What that means to people is going to be different for everyone. I think most of us care for the land. We have a lot of gratitude for Mother Nature. But again, in my opinion, fires are not bad. They are signifying a time for rebirth. So the more we can have controlled fires, the less destruction we're going to see that is more unpredictable. Fires are pretty predictable at this point, so there's a lot we can do to manage that. So maybe more management is what we need to see more toward the interior, although there's less trees, so it's not as hard to manage. But the layer beyond that is all of the advocacy around environmentalism, pushing certain agendas, blaming everything on climate change in order to push these agendas. That I have a harder time with because I feel like nature is being taken advantage of. And there's another layer beyond that is all the anger around this. What I am hearing from the spirits in nature, from my guides, is that is actually what's fueling the fires and the destruction more so. That there is, of course, this need for rebirth, but that is pressured by all this anger and hatred and wanting to punish other people. It's that heat rising within all the humans that is now manifesting in nature. And that is why it has been so vast for the last few years. Yeah, how many years? It's been over 5 years, I think. We have had very predictable fires, a lot of destruction here in California. And this is where it is so tense. Like on the coasts is where we have the most tension. So just consider that. Now, what's the solution to this? Because I don't like talking about all this doom and gloom and hatred and anger. What's the solution? Of course, it's to provide a counterbalance, to be cool, calm, and collected, to be more water to balance out the fire. Again, neither of these polarities is bad, but we need to balance. And so being more of the water means being cool emotionally. It means being able to go with the flow, going back to communication. It means to be able to express our emotions, to be very clear about it, to let them flow, to not let them fester and build up as this internal heat that eventually combusts and even explodes. And we don't want to explode in nature or with other people. Okay, so more around this. Yeah, that nature is getting frustrated with us too, because we're not seeing this connection between what is happening emotionally within us on a personal level, between each other emotionally, on a collective level. It's emotions. Emotions is fueling all of this heat. And so we need to cool on an emotional level too. And fire season, this year it is also election season. We're going to be seeing tension and heat rising with that too. And the frustration nature is seeing is that we are not being kind to each other. We are not communicating with each other. There is an actual reluctance to do that with some people because they don't want to lose. They want the other party or tribe or whatever you call it, the other people who have other beliefs, to lose. And in some cases, to punish. And as I'm speaking this, I'm feeling that you're saying, yeah, the other side does that. No, we're talking about ourselves here. So I love to look at my shadow. I love to look at my shadow, to call out my own bullshit and deal with it. And this is how I can help other people do the same. So as I am talking, instead of looking at others as being, oh, that's what Brandy, or that is who Brandy is talking about, all those people who are doing that. No, I'm wanting us to look at what we're doing, how we are involved in this process, how we are contributing to this dysfunction. Okay? I certainly do this a lot. Okay, and going back to the communication piece, as I was writing all this down and reflecting like about being honest, there are times when I'm talking, and especially in a group, when I am the center of attention and I find that I'm starting to embellish, and I have this aspect of myself that is looking at me mindfully that calls me out sometimes like, I think you're stretching the truth a little bit. And I'll have to check myself in the moment and say, oh, of course I'm exaggerating a little bit. And everyone understands when we do that. Like, everyone does this. So those little things like that, we can be doing more, so that when we're contributing in a bigger way to something, this dysfunction that we're seeing collectively, we can own it, we can change it, and we are going to have a bigger impact on fixing that. And that is something we can feel really, really good about, is being part of the solution. But it first takes us to look at our crap first. Okay? All right. So that is all with this collective. It's a pretty big collective message, one that is super important for us all to deal with. So let's work more with the cards now. This story about this personal integration that we're being guided to address in August. And it's a beautiful story. So, as always, it seems we are starting with the shadow. So this is the 7 of Cups. There's this beautiful dove flying into darkness. So this is us moving into our darkness to address it. So this card is symbolizing disconnection, separation, even an emptiness inside. And for many of us, probably the majority of us, when we feel this way, when we are feeling empty and alone, we tend to try to fill the space. And we do it in ways that are generally not helpful. So watching a lot of TV, that may feel very restful, and sure, a little bit is relaxing, but then it becomes a binge session, and that is when it's not good. We do the same thing with food. I do the same thing with food, trying to fill emptiness. So for me, it's boredom or procrastination, not wanting to deal with something. I fill the space with food. We may do it with bigger addictions, with alcohol and drugs, that may be supported by some people in our lives too. Also, we could do this with work. There are many of us who are type A workaholics, and our society, it awards people who have this type of behavior and characteristic. So we can think that we're doing a good thing by overworking, when really we're just trying to fill this space. So when we are going into darkness, when we are looking at our shadow, we're looking at what is beyond this behavior, what is underneath. And so what we can do to process this, of course, meditation is awesome, to actually sit in silence, to embrace any of the messages that are coming up in that space. And journaling after that. So processing, like, what did this mean? Is there something beyond this? Going on silent walks in nature. I say silent because a lot of us tend to listen to podcasts or music when we go out for walks. See if the majority of the time you can consider this more of a walking meditation, that you're communing with nature, that can be your way to connect with your spiritual essence, that of nature, and receive messages. You're going to get a lot of guidance just by opening up, believe me. I do that every day. And then a big one is Dreamwork. So right now we're in the middle of a 2-part series I have with my blog posts and on YouTube about processing dreams with shamanic dreamwork. So we just did the first one last week. You may want to check out. And the next week, we are going to be talking more about nightmares. So that is addressing the shadow again. And life has a wonderful way to bring up that shadow for us so we can integrate it. And that helps us move along with this story. So let's go to the next card. And this is the 5 of Cups. So another cup, a lot of emotion with these cup cards. And you could see that the cups are pouring out. It looks like they're spilling. They're spilling the liquid inside. But up above this solemn person is a bright sky with a rainbow and butterflies. Okay, so this card symbolizes emotional strength. As we're doing this work, we build up this bank of emotional resilience and strength. It is making us address deep loss or disappointment in our lives. Maybe someone who is no longer with you. A lot of us have experienced a lot of death in our lives over the last few years. Maybe it's a different type of loss, perhaps financial. We're all dealing with that as well too. A change in lifestyle. So you may be feeling that personally in your life as well, that there is some strain, some loss you've been dealing with. And when we feel this loss, there is a choice point for us. Do we continue to dwell on that loss? And again, it's always good to sit with it when you're first feeling it, but then we use that to move. So that loss, all the strength that we're building up from looking at it, is going to help us move on. And so we can be focusing instead on this shift in perspective and what we can now gain, what we can now bring in to again fill that space. So very similar to the first card, that this loss is creating a space that we can then fill, but that let's be intentional now with what we're filling it with. And so this is a new beginning. What are you going to do with your life now that you can trust your heart again? So with this emotional strength, trusting your heart, what are you going to bring in now that you are building up this trust inside? And so this emotional strength to move forward. We'll just go to the next card. That's going to explain more. So this is the Knight of Wands. See, the cards are getting brighter and brighter. We're moving from darkness to light. And this is the order that I pick them in. So the Knight of Wands, this is a very fiery card, and this also represents the Archangel Michael. So he is representing courage and your creative force, this fire, this spark inside of you. So we were talking about fire earlier, how that could be more anger. It could also be passion. So we are very passionately angry and hateful sometimes. We are also passionately creative. And we can bring fascinating things into the world for ourselves and for others. So this card is saying, take this loss, take this space, take this intention and passion that you have now to fill this space with something miraculous, something exciting. And there's a lot of excitement around this card. It's an overabundance of energy that needs to be channeled in a very creative way. Because again, the fire can go to the other side. So we need to be focused more on the positive and what we're wanting to build. It's a very inspirational card and makes us, or reminds us of how alive we are in this moment. It's also a very sensual card, even a very sexual card. So this fire can be this burning desire inside. So if you are at a point in your life where you are wanting to create another human being, so bringing a baby into this world, now is a really good time to use this fire inside as this stronger creative force. It could be the beginning of a new relationship as well. There's a lot of romance and heat that way in this card, so it could be that, but it could also be a business endeavor or a business partnership. Where you are totally aligned and where you both make magic happen. Okay, and then we get to the Four of Pentacles. And take a moment to look at this card. It is so beautiful. So there's this portal at night, so among the starry sky, this portal, and looking inside. So as you move through this portal, as you move through this tunnel, you're seeing this image of the swan in daylight under a bright sun. So swans are graceful, peaceful, but we need to move through this portal to get there. So it's this journey we just described. It's looking at the shadow. It's processing our crap in the shadow. It's being honest and truthful. Sorry, there's an alarm going on behind me. Hopefully you can't see that. But we need to move through all of this to get to this greater place. To get to this place where our life feels more bright, where there is more hope. And the more we are doing this on a personal level, on an individual level, the more we are going to be seeing this in the collective too. So the more heat, the more chaos, even the more destruction we are seeing on the outside, and people are saying, we need to do something, we need to do something. And there's all this focus on change on the outside, which no one can agree on, again, because there's all these different interests that are more political. What we can be doing instead is going inside, dealing with our own crap, being honest with ourselves, being honest with each other, and having very clear communication. So there are there's nothing we're trying to slip in under the radar, under the guise of something else. We're being very, very clear with each other. We are expecting this of politicians. We are expecting this of corporations and systems. They will know now that they cannot hide anything. Okay? All right. Whew, that was the big message. So let us end, friends, by choosing a goddess card. So we'll ask one goddess to come forward with a message that's going to help us process all of this and hopefully give us some more cues as to what we can focus on to heal. There's a few who want to come out and help. So I just wait until one pops out. This doesn't happen. Oh, okay. Oh, there we go. I was going to say, if it doesn't happen soon, I'll just spread it out and choose one. Okay, I love this. So, Gildeptis, synthesis. And I know she has a beautiful poem that goes along with her. So, synthesis, changing. And I love that this goddess is related to the trees. So I'll read her story and the poem that goes with this. But these are the coastal trees. These are the trees that burn in late summer and fall. Let me get this ready for you. Okay, so let's read the poem. Gildeptis, synthesis. I take opposites and conflicts, all that is contradictory. I take the diverse and varied. I take the simple and solitary, and mix and merge, meld and blend. I take what is separate and create union. I bring together what needs to be brought together, so wholeness is achieved. So this is what we experience when we can communicate honestly. That's when we find unity, and this synthesis, I think it does go back to clear communication. So I just want to share a bit more about Gildeptis. Her name means lady hanging hair. She's the forest goddess of the Tlingit and Haida people of Northwest North America. So that's mossy hair of the cedar tree. And she's coming into our lives to tell us the way to wholeness lies in synthesis, to bringing all our divergent parts together, all the opposing pieces together into one whole you. There's more we could read into this card, but I want you to do that for yourself. So let me know if you enjoyed this message, if it resonates with you at all. I think it does for all of us. This is work that we all need to do. But let me know if you are interested in doing it. If you are going to be one of these people who is going to model what it is like to be whole, complete, honest, and a change maker. Well wishes, friends. I hope you have a wonderful August. I will see you again next week.